Hey, he's on the job on a Wednesday, or jobs. Syd Bolton's here. We talk tech, as always, on Inside Brant.
That was a really cheesy segue.
Well, you know, you said we're going to talk about Steve Jobs.
That's true. So. That's true. So, and one of the other things that I said sort of when we were talking about what we were going to show and talk about this season on Inside Tech, on Inside Brant, I wanted to bring more books and more movies and things like that as well. And apps, we're going to do some apps as well this season. So
free apps?
Free apps and maybe some paid apps too. Okay. We'll see what comes out. We'll go for the best apps, let's put it that way.
Can we develop an Inside Brant app?
We
could. You can take it with you.
We could, yeah. You could get updates on all the shows. I'm not sure who's going to update it, but we could do it if we wanted to.
We'd always bring back young Matthew, one of our volunteers. He'll be there for us.
There you go.
Is there ever a company more dependent on the guy at the top than Apple?
You know, that's a really tough question. I think in terms of leadership, you know, Steve is an amazing man, and he's done a really good job of turning the company around and everything like that. I think the company's going to be okay, at least in the short term. You know, it's going to ride on his vision and his leadership for a certain period of time. How long that lasts remains to be seen. I'm not so sure about the future.
Well, we don't want to talk.
Him.
I don't want to talk specifically about other companies. We were talking before we got on camera. Is he the great combination of entrepreneur, businessman, and is that sometimes maybe what lacks in some instances?
I'm not really sure that it's such that he's a great businessman, because he's made a lot of mistakes and a lot of things that he's done, but he's definitely got the vision and the drive, and what he really does, which is that he does really, really well, is he inspires his employees to greatness, right? And that's really, really, really important. So now, he's also not, you know, the sort of the angel that some people have said that he might be. So,
Icon?
Yeah, there's actually this book called Icon, and this is an unauthorized biography. In fact, I think Steve's reaction to this book was to remove the publisher from you know, selling Apple products or having their products listed anywhere in Apple catalogs and things like that. So he can be a little moody and vindictive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just kind of his business style. But if you kind of want sort of an interesting portrait of the man, both the good and the bad, I think you want to look at Icon. There are other biographical books about Steve, but this one's pretty good. And it really,
is it fair?
I think it's fair, yeah. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, a lot of people, especially the Mac and Apple fanatics, are always portraying him as just, you know, the second coming kind of a thing. And I think this book, you know, portrays him for what he is, and that is he's a great businessman, but, you know, he's had to step on a few people to get where he is. And that leads me to my second recommendation for you, and this is actually a movie. And this one is The Pirates of Silicon Valley, and it's actually not just about Steve, who's played in the movie by Noah Wyle, actually. So if you're an ER fan from days back, then you'll enjoy watching him here. He does a great job. But also a lot of Microsoft stuff in here, and you can kind of get an insight into Bill Gates and how he was back in the day. And sort of this movie sort of chronicles the beginnings of both Microsoft and Apple. And it's called The Pirates because really both companies effectively stole from other companies to get to where they are. And so this movie is kind of about that and sort of how they got to the top and how things changed. And actually, even more interesting is how Steve and Bill, who hated each other for a long time, when Apple was in trouble, how they actually came together and how the fans reacted. Because at one point in time, Microsoft owned a fair chunk of Apple.
Sounds like a theme, because I think of the Social Network, and they got into their own legal harangues based on borrowed.
You know, a lot of the really successful tech companies have that kind of background, interestingly enough. So
that we're not exactly sure how they came by the information they came by?
Well, you know, there's stories out there about how these things happen, but it's not something that the companies really want to talk about openly. So a lot of times you don't know the story until you watch or read something like this and find out exactly what's going on. And if you're interested at all in that sort of thing, it's very interesting. Even if you're not a technology person in the sense of, you know, you're not really into computers or whatever, these are stories about people and about business. And it just happens to be that they relate to stuff that's very popular today. So that's why I recommend them. Both of these books were actually not that popular when they came out in the movie. But I think now, with the situation with Apple, I think you're going to find they're a little bit more popular.
Okay, Icon, the book, Pirates of Silicon Valley, the DVD, and thanks for coming in.
No problem.
We'll be back on a Thursday. We'll have, as mentioned, the SPCA joining us, and our four-legged friends. That, Paula Tomlinson from the library, and a whole lot more. It's going to be a full half hour again for Thursday. Thanks for joining us and doing it Inside Brant.